You know that feeling, right? But you promised. Maybe you've said it, maybe someone said it to you. It just lands with this real weight of expectation. And sometimes, yeah, disappointment when a promise feels kind of vague or maybe just too big.
Oh, absolutely. That whole experience of relying on a promise, especially one that asks for, well, everything. That's exactly what Pastor Florin got into at Agape this past Sunday.
Yeah, he jumped right into Genesis 12, didn't he? Unpacking God's incredible promise to
An
Abram.
audacious promise, really.
Right. And that's what we want to do in this deep dive today. We're taking that sermon and the original text too as our launch pad. We want to explore what it actually means to answer a call like Abram's, a deep call, often without all the details spelled out.
hmm
And how does this ancient story give us like a practical roadmap for what it means to apprentice under Jesus now?
Especially for you, maybe navigating all the information overload, the constant cultural pull.
Exactly. What does following a divine promise look like in your world today?
It's definitely more than just history. It's about finding those timeless principles, right? Things that speak to us right where we are. So maybe we should start with Abram himself. He wasn't just this perfect figure pulled out of nowhere.
No, not at all. Genesis 11 gives us some context.
Right. Abram, his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, they were part of a real family, descendants of Noah. His dad, Terah, had already moved them once from which was a major city back then, a real hub in Mesopotamia.
Yeah, all the way up to Haran, that's northern Mesopotamia. Not exactly a quick move.
No, a huge relocation across, ancient landscapes.
And it's important to remember, by the time God speaks to Abram in Genesis 12, this family's already seen some stuff.
Definitely. Lot's father, Haran, had died. They dealt with the stress of that big move.
So Abram wasn't called when everything was perfect and tidy. God met him right in the middle of his messy human life.
Which is encouraging, I think.
Totally. And then comes this massive command. God tells Abram to leave Haran, go to a land God will show him.
Just like that. And he does. He takes Sarai, Lot, everything they own, all the people with them,
Can you imagine packing up your entire life, everything you've gathered, your extended family?
and heading off somewhere you don't even have a name for yet.
It's wild. They head for Canaan, eventually get to places like Shechem, then near Bethel and Ai.
Yeah, and this wasn't a vacation. It was tough.
Yeah.
A huge, difficult journey across unknown land.
Yeah.
Every step was like pure trust.
That really gets to the heart of the big ask, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you.
Almost zero details.
It's this immense separation from everything safe and familiar, his culture, his family ties, his whole world.
For us today, we love our 5-year plans, our certainty.
Yeah.
It's almost hard to grasp that level of uncertainty.
Totally. But then, standing against that huge ask is the big promise.
Ah, yes.
Ah.
Those foundational I will statements from God, they're incredible.
Lay them out for us.
Okay, so God says, I will make you into a great nation. That's about descendants, countless people.
Right.
I will bless you. I will make your name great. That's personal blessing, legacy, purpose, reputation. It's all in there.
Okay.
Then you will be a blessing. So it shifts outward to others.
Affecting other people.
Exactly. And divine protection too.
Yeah.
I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse.
Wow. God's got his back.
Totally. And the final one is massive, global. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you.
Okay, that's an unbelievable set of promises. But how do you square that absolute promise with the journey Abram actually had? It wasn't exactly smooth sailing.
No, it wasn't.
So what does that tension, between the promise and the often difficult reality teach us about God's promises in our own lives? Things don't always look neat for us either.
That's a great point. It shows that the promise is about complete redemption, like a radical transformation.
Yeah.
But it absolutely requires Abram to trust God. He had to step away from what he thought was secure, what seemed good to him. So the tension shows us God's promises aren't about an easy path necessarily, but they are about an unshakable destination.
An unshakable destination. I like that.
The journey might have struggles, yeah, but the promise itself, it holds firm because it's based on God's character, not Abram's performance.
Okay, so if this story is like a roadmap for apprenticing under Jesus, what does Abram's authenticity, his courage, and his messy reality teach us? How do we show up like that?
Well, one huge takeaway is that God doesn't wait for us to be perfect.
Yeah, we saw that. Abram's family had issues, loss, stress, moving.
And God called him right in the middle of it all. That says something important to us, I think. God sees past the masks, the polished image we try to project. He's not looking for perfect resumes or Instagram feeds.
He wants honesty.
Exactly. Authenticity. Real people living real lives, being honest with him, with themselves.
That's so important because, so many people feel like they have to clean themselves up first, get it all together before they can even approach God or try to follow him.
All right, that I'm not good enough yet feeling.
Yeah. How does Abram's messy start help us with that?
It shows us God takes the initiative. He meets us right where we are. And the courage Abram showed, it wasn't self-made bravery.
No.
It was courage that came from surrender. Think about it. God asked him to separate from everything familiar, country, culture, family, everything, and walk into the unknown.
That takes, a deep kind of courage.
The kind you only find when you really surrender, when you place yourself completely in God's hands.
Okay, surrender. It sounds simple, but we live in a world that prizes control, self-reliance. How do we actually do that? How do we start giving up what feels safe, even if maybe it's comfortable but wrong?
Comfortable but wrong.
That's a good phrase. And what's the real difference between just losing something versus actively surrendering it?
Pastor Florin highlighted that distinction. He said Abram didn't just lose everything. He chose to give up the stuff that was polluted.
Polluted? Like what?
Like the idolatry, the old customs, the ways of thinking that were actually holding him back from the real blessed life God was offering.
Ah, okay, so it wasn't losing value, it was shedding baggage.
Precisely. It was a radical realignment toward genuine freedom. It's about surrendering, like Pastor Florin put it, all that you are, all your broken self, all that you have, all the stuff that can rust, mold, or perish, all your dreams, plans.
Wow, all of it.
Because you can't control the future anyway,
Right.
no matter how hard you try. So real courage is trusting God with it.
That hits close to home, I think, especially for maybe you listening right now. Think about the scripts you're handed.
Oh, yeah.
The pressure for perfect grades, the perfect online image, fitting in with whatever trend is happening. How many of those things are maybe comfortable but wrong? How many are kind of polluting your headspace, your spirit? A bit like the stuff Abram had to leave behind.
It takes real guts, real courage to trust God with an uncertain future when everything screams at you to control it yourself.
It's a bold move, stepping away from what everyone else seems to be doing, what feels normal, to follow God's path instead.
And tying this back to God's promise, it remains unshakable because it's based entirely on God's character, his actions, not on us earning it.
Right, those I will statements.
Exactly. I will, I will, I will. It flies in the face of that doubt, that little voice the enemy whispers, the one that says God might forget you or he's going to pull the rug out.
God's promises are solid because he is solid.
Right. Even that ancient land promise, without getting into all the modern politics, the fact that it's still relevant somehow speaks to God's enduring commitment.
And we have to remember, ultimately, Jesus is the fulfillment of that promise to Abram.
Yes. He's the descendant, the Son of God.
In him, all those ancient promises come true.
Yeah.
And it's in him that we find that lasting legacy, that real purpose, that meaning that, circumstances can't shake no matter what happens.
So, okay, bringing it all back to us, what does this mean practically if we want to be apprentices under Jesus?
Yeah, the practical stuff. Pastor Florin gave some really clear, actionable steps for walking this new path, living this new life.
Because following Jesus isn't just head knowledge, right? It's a daily, hands-on apprenticeship, learning from the master, walking with him.
Okay, step one.
Authentic prayer.
Not just rattling off words.
No, not rote prayers, not cliches, not letting your mind wander completely. He really pushed for raw authenticity.
A raw authenticity.
Yeah, like if you catch yourself just going through the motions, being insincere, stop, start over, be absolutely real with the master. That's foundational for an apprentice.
Okay, real talk and prayer. What's next?
Courageous commitment, which is really about letting go.
Letting go of those comfortable but wrong things we talked about.
Exactly. The stuff we cling to out of habit or fear. The challenge is having the courage to actually put all you have, the good and the bad, and all you love in his hands.
All of it. Again, that sounds huge. How do you even start?
Well, he gave a really concrete suggestion, like literally take items you own one by one and consciously offer them to Jesus.
Like, Jesus, I give you my phone, I give you my car.
Yeah. Or go through the people you love. Jesus, I give you my friend, my parent, my sibling. I trust you with them.
Wow.
And maybe start with yourself first. Jesus, I give myself to you. It's a tangible act of surrender, super central to this apprenticeship idea.
Okay, that's really practical. Authentic prayer, courageous commitment. What's the third action?
Intentional pace.
Hmm.
And this one directly tackles a big pressure point you might feel today.
Okay.
Pastor Florin called it a demonic tactic, this constant feeling of being overwhelmed, too much to do, the fear of missing out, FOMO, getting swamped by huge problems that feel unsolvable.
Oh, I know that feeling. Just noise and distraction.
Exactly. It diverts us from what really matters.
Yeah.
But because God calls us to walk a path with him, we have to be intentional. We have to stay connected to him. We have to resist the crazy pace the world sets.
So how do we pace ourselves? How do we resist that pressure?
He gave specific practices. First, protect your prayer time. Guard it ferociously, he said. Don't let things crowd out that authentic connection.
Guard it ferociously.
Okay. Second, ravenously devour the Word of God. Read the Bible like you're starving. Because it is food for the journey, it gives direction, strength.
Eat like you're famished. Got it.
And third, stubbornly show up. Keep connecting with other believers. Don't let excuses stop you from being in community.
Why is community so key?
He used this great image. Ambers together produce much fire.
Ah, like coals in a barbecue?
Exactly. One ember on its own might cool down, go out. But put them together, and you get a strong, hot fire.
Yeah.
Spiritual strength grows when we're together.
That makes sense. Okay, so let's recap those practical steps for being a carpenter's apprentice.
Pray with raw authenticity.
Be real with God.
Courageously give Jesus everything, the good, the bad, the people you love, yourself.
Total surrender.
And intentionally pace yourself in the rhythms of Jesus.
Resist.
The overwhelm.
Guard prayer. Devour the word. Show up for community.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow. What a deep dive. Really connecting Abram's ancient story to our lives now. His courage, his surrender, just walking with God. It really is a powerful model for our own apprenticeship, isn't it?
Absolutely. Especially when life feels so fast and overwhelming.
So as you're thinking about all this, here's something to mull over. What comfortable but wrong thing might God be nudging you to courageously give up today?
What might you need to release so you can really walk that new, unshakable path with him?
Yeah, something to chew on.
And hey, if this conversation was helpful, maybe share it with a friend, someone else who might find it useful on their journey.
Definitely. And remember, you can submit prayer requests on our website, agapechurch.life. We have a prayer team ready to pray specifically for what you send in.
Yeah, please use that. And don't forget to check out the Agape Church YouTube channel and the website too for more resources to help you in your apprenticeship.